Oh my god, I forgot Grand Grand.
Yeah.
Grand Grand sidebar. Grand Grand's fucking got the it's either her or the director that it makes me think that she has the acting capacity of fucking Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P. I'm your boy Jsib, joined by, as always,
your co-host KP.
Now, normally we talk about the holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, but today is a special day because the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender dropped on Netflix this past week, and we're here to review that bad boy. Now, me, I'm a long time
excited.
I'm a longtime fan of the Avatar series. The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra.
Do this.
Yeah, I made him do this. KP has never watched the cartoon of The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra, so you're going to get a unique perspective on his take on this, and then obviously you'll get the fan take from me. So KP, what's your thoughts? What'd you think of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Well, first and foremost, for any of you fellows out there that are like, how could he have never watched this? Because I understand this was very popular. I was not a Nickelodeon child, and never have been, ever in my life.
What a sin.
I grew up with Cartoon Network, and then when I outgrew old cartoons that Cartoon Network ran reruns of when I was a kid, I started watching Disney Channel. So I grew up with like Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire. Crap like that. Dude, don't let the Shia LaBeouf that's now judge your opinion of the Shia LaBeouf of old, okay? Anyways. Yeah, hater. Dude, so my first reactions to this is like I'm watching it, and just right off the rip, just people are getting set on fire. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. This is brutal. Yes. And then in like 10 minutes, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of for children. Not children, but like your junior hires, I'd say, or maybe not even that old. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll say this. It reminded me a lot of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It's like, I see the potential here for this to be like really adult and cool, but at the same time you cheesed it up and you got young actors, and I get it. That's the whole thing of it. I get it. I'm just saying, that was like my reaction to this whole entire show. I will say though, I ended up invested in the somewhat antagonists arc. The whole show, I only gave a shit about the Prince of the Fire Nation and his uncle. That's all I cared about.
Zuko and Iroh.
And what? Sorry?
Iroh.
Yeah, they don't say his name enough. Like, I don't remember it. And Zuko, so yeah, Zuko and Iroh. Honestly, I was gonna say Dragon of the West. They say more, and that's like what I know him by, not his actual name. But no, loved their dynamic. I mean, the Star Wars nerd in me was obviously happy to see that actor play Iroh. So
yes, and
I was kind of happy about that.
Job.
Yeah, I was happy about that. He did a very good job there. I thought those two especially, their character arcs were the best in this series. And I'm not saying that the other characters were bad. I just think that those two have the best development, and they made you actually. They did a great job of making you care about characters that maybe you were thinking at the first, oh, I'm supposed to not like these guys. But you end up liking these guys. I mean, the kid's got an asshole for a dad. He burned the shit out of his face. His uncle Iroh like lost his son, and his freaking nephew is basically yeah, I'm here for you, man. And then so basically his uncle is like, I mean, there's a moment where I kind of wanted the Yandu quote, and he might be your father, but he ain't your daddy. Like, I mean, that's like their whole relationship, and it's like awesome. And I don't know, I just liked theirs a lot more than the trio of Aang and um Ka- I don't Katara, right?
Yep. Katara and Sokka.
Katara and Sokka. I mean, as Sokka, the heartthrob, I feel, this dude can't win. I mean, this poor bastard. He just wants to be in love, and he can't have it. Like, I feel for that guy. And then Katara, just of course you're badass. I mean, it took a minute, but you're badass. And then Aang, your problem frickin' title character that I don't know. They didn't go well. No, they didn't really go the shonen route. I was kind of hoping by the end of this, without spoilers, he'd be able to bend more than one of the elements, and sure he does in a way.
I'll bring it up.
But yeah, I hope there's more fruition of that. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I will say, like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, well, this is kind of just like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It's like I sat there and I really want to like this, but it's so cheesy at times where I'm like, I cannot I cannot go to people and say like, oh, you gotta watch this, man. It's fucking life changing. Like, no, I'm not gonna say that. And I didn't grow up with a cartoon. I didn't watch the cartoon, so now I get to be an interviewer for Jsib and say, Jsib, what did you like about Avatar: The Last Airbender live action?
If we're not going to go into heavy spoilers, the things I do like about this show, Gordon Cormier, who I believe is the actor's name that was cast as Aang, terrific job for what he was given. He really embodies Aang as the character. Once again, for what he's given. I feel like they're not allowed to kind of go on side missions enough to kind of necessarily flesh out the childness in him and his goofiness that he normally has, which is fine. It's an adaptation. For the most part, a lot of the stuff they did, I'm okay with. I'm good with. The world itself, they did a really good job converting that into live action. It looks beautiful. The costume designs are beautiful. They're very on point.
Okay.
Sokka, for the most part, the actor is great in the role as Sokka. There's some changes to Sokka I'm not a huge fan of. I think it hurts him. I think it hurts Katara as well with that change. I feel like Katara is kind of given the least amount of due out of the main trio, and I think that's kind of a sin. The actress that they casted as Suki, great, phenomenal. I'll just leave it at that. And then, I mean, Appa and Momo were great. I feel like Momo especially had enough moments to shine with Sokka. That was good to see. Of course, we'll get to my favorite characters, which I'm glad that they're also your favorite characters live action. I feel like you'd probably feel this watch the cartoon, but Zuko and Iroh, Zuko and the actor that played him, phenomenally done. I saw complaints out there of sounds like a whiny child at times. I was like, oh, that's his fucking character, man. He's also a fucking child. So like he's gonna sound like a whiny child. Iroh is perfect. I was so gleefully happy with within his first two interactions in this series, he mentions Jasmine T in both of them. And I'm like, yep, we're good. We're good here. We're good. Iroh is perfect. He loves his tea, and he's a good uncle to Zuko. Also a badass when he needs to be. Overall, I think they did a really good job. A good job. There's definitely some cons I have, which I feel like, other than saying there's a little bit, not a little bit. There's a lot of exposition in the series, and to your point, how you said that they opened up with brutality, with somebody getting engulfed in flames, and which was awesome, because they wanted to kind of the creators' idea was they wanted to reach Game of Thrones fans. The only sin with that is the cartoon was more mature in its writing than this show seems to be. Like, this show almost treats you like you're an idiot at times with the dialogue and the writing, where the cartoon, while it was for children, the reason it resonated with a lot of adults is because it tackled a lot of adult themes like genocide, colonialism, racism, bigotry, and among other things. But they didn't talk down to you like you were like an idiot. Like, they they went about it a very mature way, and I feel like this show doesn't do that as well as the cartoon. Other cons, we'll have to get into that in the spoiler territory, but overall, I think they did a pretty good job. I know a lot of fans are probably mainly comparing this to the cartoon. I'm so scarred by the fucking abomination that was the M. Night Shyamalan live action that came out, where they literally couldn't even pronounce Avatar correctly, let alone all the other characters in the show correctly, among with the worst live action bending that could have ever existed. I was more comparing this to that. So, because I understand it's going to be an adaptation, things are going to change. One of them that you kind of alluded to earlier, I don't understand why, because that's also a pretty big plot point or in character development for Katara, especially in the cartoon, and that just completely gets skipped over in this season, which should have been in book 1, which is this season, which is water, which is
right.
It should have happened, and they skipped over it. I would imagine they're gonna somehow maybe shoehorn that in the beginning of season 2, but I feel like that's a miss in my eyes, because Katara didn't get enough to do in this season. I feel like she was the one that kind of got the shaft out of the main trio, and it should not have been that way at all. She's a very, very important and prominent character. And I agree with you. I think the reason you probably like Zuko and Iroh, they're great characters, but yeah, they did get the most character development, which is odd. From my knowledge, I understand in a way why, from what comes from the cartoon, but it's an interesting choice that they didn't really focus on the main trio more, because main trio, their team Avatar, them as a team didn't really get development in this series and character growth as much as I would say Zuko and Iroh did. I thought that was an odd choice, but the Zuko and Iroh fan of me liked it, so whatever. I think that's all I can say without really getting into this.
Okay.
So,
well, I'll first off apologize to everyone, or to you. I was kind of probably looking like a confused, lost puppy there for a second, because on my end, Jay really froze up, and when he was coming back in on my feed, he kind of kept talking. So I'm assuming that means it was on my end. And I went into my computer, and yeah, the computer I'm on apparently still has automatic updates checked on. So it was trying to download something, and yes. Anyways, I still heard you the whole way, man, for what I did catch, and so yeah. So yeah, I kind of should say like that. So that, me as the one who has not watched this cartoon of this show, that just, it leads me into my next is like, what are these differences here that you're kind of seeing, that maybe you do or do not want to speak on? I don't know if we want to get into spoilers right now, but I mean, I
yeah,
don't
no,
see why not.
I'd say
But
it's now.
it's up
Yeah,
to
we gave our general
yeah.
thoughts. Now spoilers. I mean, you get the warning up above. For me, one of the big misses, and the creators actually came out openly and said this in the beginning before the show actually dropped, was Sokka. Jesus, I went to fucking M. Night Shyamalan. Sokka in the cartoon is like kind of a misogynistic like in the beginning. He's very much like men are the warriors. Very much how
like what we got at the end. Like
yeah,
what we got at the end
like
with the main North tribe.
Yeah, with
Was
Paku
they were they were traditionalists in the sense of men fight, men are hunters, women are gatherers. Like,
and he's kind of the same way in the beginning of the show. Sidebar.
Yeah.
The reason this is kind of such a miss is because what was great about the dynamic between Aang and Sokka was very much an immature child who wanted to grow up and mature. Or Aang was the antithesis of that. He was a young boy who was given a massive burden and responsibility, who did not want to grow up and actively avoided that responsibility for the longest time.
Right.
This series, it feels like that rushes. They show it, but they rush through it very quickly, which is fine. Right, that I'm not so much. That doesn't bug me as much. But with Sokka, it feels like he's already very mature. From like he's got his goofiness to him, but he seems a lot more mature than what he is actually in the cartoon in the beginning. And one of those things is his misogyny. And and I feel like this moment falls flat in the live action is when they go to Kyoshi Island and he meets Suki. That's the eye opener for him of where he kind of grows up and matures a lot because he realizes that he was wrong because Suki beats his fucking ass. And that's why we're that scene where they do the duel and she ends up like whipping his ass and he like gets all upset and runs away. It just seems like he's a little bitch out of nowhere. The reason he acts like that, which does happen in the cartoon, he cries and runs away because he's embarrassed. But like it's not set up as it should have been. And that was a big growing moment for Sokka.
Right. So for what you're saying, the cartoon, it's basically that boils down to he was a misogynist, that's why I did it. This show, here's how I interpreted all of that. I interpreted that as what is the female's name again?
Katara or Suki?
Suki is the girl.
Are you talking about Kyoshi Island? The one that he kind of
on Kyoshi Island.
Yeah,
the girl that beats his ass.
Yeah, Suki. Yep.
Suki. So I took it as Suki was like, hey, this dude's hot. I'm gonna go try to connect with him.
Yeah, exactly.
So she catches him training. And it's like a flirtation for her. And then she beats his ass and he like kind of gets all weirded out and he just kind of walks away like defeated, like because she basically embarrasses him because he probably took it as mockery because he was trying to sell off how he was this warrior when really he wasn't. So she's like, oh, well, I'm a warrior too, and I'm going to fight with you as like a flirtation. But since he gets so easily humiliated and one-upped, he like runs away like a child, like you said. And then like he then just kind of later spies on her class and then, you know, the whole love thing. So yeah, I definitely will say that however it was in the cartoon with what you just explained, yeah, that was absolutely not the interpretation at all that I got in the show.
Yeah, and like I will say they did a good job as far as keeping Sokka very similar without being outright misogynistic, because like that beat was still there. They just changed it to where he's an overconfident warrior, and it's the same way in the cartoon. From what I recall, is they both kind of have a thing for each other, and in the scene, she's kind of trying to teach him, but also like kind of flirt with him in ways, but still beats his ass, and then he's more embarrassed because A, he thinks he is a great warrior, and 2, a girl just kicked his ass essentially. So it was like twofold, where it's like they kind of took away one of the layers. This one. which isn't a huge thing, but it just, for me as a fan, and it's not a huge gripe, not a big negative, but it's just I feel like Sokka, you took away some of his growth in the live action that he could have had. Also, to real quick to your point about earlier about Aang not learning, I mean, we'll just boil it down, water bending. Yeah, because in the cartoon,
Kind of figured I figured that like this was the whole. I kind of dug into it a little bit. You know, last night I binged 3 episodes, stayed up way later than I needed to. You know, and then I finished up the last episode right before we got on here. But I just kind of figured like I did a little deep dive and digging on the internet and realized like, oh, season 1 is called Book 1 Water or whatever.
Yep.
I just kind of figured like since the whole idea of this guy is he's this chosen one, he's supposed to be able to bend all 4 elements and he's all powerful, and I kind of figured it, okay, so I can see how this goes. He'll learn water in this season, he'll learn earth in the next one, and then the very last one he'll learn fire. But since he didn't ever really learn water in this show, and instead it's like he like kind of makes this sacrifice if for a hot minute. We don't have to get into that yet. Yeah, we don't have to get into that yet. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was real cool. But anyways, yeah. So, what do you have to say on that then? Is this actually then different than the cartoon? Like
100%. So this is something that would have been.
So...
This is something that would have been great for Katara. This is something that is a character development for her that is very, very important, because while she, for as little training as she does have in the cartoon and in this show, she is a quick learner, and she is a very, very good waterbender, and will go on to be a very, very phenomenal waterbender. The thing is, though, in the first season, Aang, after they get the scroll episode where the water scroll, where they get all the different forms of how to do these different things that Katara gets from her grand. Oh my god, I forgot grand.
Yeah.
Grand sidebar. Grand's fucking got the. It's either her or the director that it makes me think that she has the acting capacity of fucking Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Just nothing. The fact that there was just no emotion, no feeling, no pauses, no nothing. And her diatribe of what was the actual like cartoon intro of long ago the nations lived, and she just never, fuck it, that was a sidebar. She's terrible. Get rid of her, the director that ever directed her.
The Fire Nation attacked.
Just like
that's always a big quote.
That was terrible. But also exposition. With the scroll episode, after she gets the scrolls, what's her and Aang practice together. And,
see, and I figured they would have, like,
yeah,
that just made no sense to me for this show.
Exactly. And Aang picks up waterbending very, very quickly to where it like embarrasses
Which makes sense
Katara.
Because he has prior experience from knowing how to airbend. Because that was the thing about it, even in the show. And sorry to interject with you, but it's like she's reading the scroll, and Aang is teaching her, you got to feel these emotions and let the Force guide you, and Yoda moment. And I'm sitting here like, but wait, you don't even know how to bend water, so shouldn't you like be doing this with her?
Yeah,
it felt like a ball that was dropped. I don't know. So go on. Sorry.
I agree. I think that was a miss. Yeah, obviously this is a negative for me, so yeah. But in the cartoon, Aang picks it up very quickly, and from what we know, even in the cartoon, like I mentioned, Katara picked it up very quickly, was a very skilled waterbender for what little practice she had. But this was like a moment where we finally got a flaw with Katara, because she got like jealous and a little angry, and actually ends up kind of stealing the scroll and like kind of running away for a little bit to kind of practice on her own. But it was a really good humbling moment for her and good character development for her. And it's non-existent at all. Like, it's also, it's mainly a miss for her, but it's also like a miss for Aang. It also makes no sense why he wouldn't. I don't know. Each of the seasons is about him mainly learning the next element, and it's just like he didn't learn.
Right,
He didn't learn
yeah.
an element in this one at all.
Like, I've never even watched the show, and I put that together like that. I was like, well, oh, obviously it's, you
Yeah,
know,
and
I'm a veteran at watching anime, so
that
yeah.
that was a big miss for me. Like, it makes no sense to me how he did not learn waterbending at the end of this, like, at all. But just you watch if they get another season, he'll magically just
next season,
he'll magically
know
just
how to do it. Yeah,
and, like
yeah,
we'll get some fucking.
I was legitimately thinking that as the last episode's winding down, I sat there, I was like, are you serious? Like, he doesn't even learn a second like, what kind of fucking shonen type shit is this? And I was just like, I couldn't believe it, and I immediately thought that same thing. I was like, oh, they'll have a season 2, and magically at the beginning of it, there will be some gap of time, and he'll know how to do it because Katara taught him. Guarantee that's what happens. Because everyone's gonna echo what you're saying. All those diehard fans, I guarantee they're gonna echo what you're saying. And then the showrunners or creators, whatever, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, shit, we fucked up.
Well,
Just
that's why
saying.
I'll be honest. I had high hopes for this show. I got really nervous when the original creators of the cartoon left the project. They still got writing credits on the Blue Spirit episode, which is the one where Zuko puts on the blue spirit mask, and he has the swords. They wrote that
Right.
episode. They had the writing credits for that episode.
That episode's great. Yeah.
When that ended, I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she fucking was like, when they did the reveal with Zuko out there, and she was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "I told you, Zuko stands on business. He's the best character. Period."
Yeah. You
And
had a
Iroh.
feeling it was him. I was kind of half wondering as I'm watching it. That's never watched it before. I was kind of half wondering, oh, I wonder if it's the mercenary saving him, so then she can sell him to someone else again or something like that. That's the only thing I could think of was like either it's the mercenary
That would have been a
chick
good shout.
or
June.
the yeah, or I was like, or it's Zuko, and then yeah, it was Zuko, and I was like, oh, of course, now they're gonna have a bonding moment because he can't fight him because he got fucking knocked out. So yeah,
They, I think they did a really good job on a lot of the bigger side characters that pop up in the anime, like Boomy, June, uh, Jet. Even though some of these storylines were very much rushed compared to what they were in the cartoon, at least what we got of them, I think they did a really good job conveying. Jet is a little bit of a little sad. His especially should have been drawn out a little. His storyline in the cartoon, Katara is. But for what they gave us and how condensed it was, I think they did a good job with it. It's weird, man. Like, I have so many like little complaints about this show, but at the end of the day, I still enjoyed myself. Like, I'm still giddy. Granted, it's probably because I'm like, thank God it's not fucking the M. Night Shyamalan atrocity that we got. But I still think
I
it's
love
like
when
very solid for what we got.
I love when he's with the king, and he's like, isn't that right, Aang or something? And he's just like, what's he calling Benny or
Oh shit.
Bowie or shit Booty? No, not Booty.
Booty. Let's just go with Booty. I actually
It could have
can't
been Booty.
remember what he calls him.
Something with B.
Anyway.
It was just great. He's like, how are you alive? oh, exercise, good diet. He's just like, I was like, what the hell? I was like, the guy would be like 108 years old technically. Like, what the fuck?
I will say that also that was a
Oh
slight L
man.
for me too. Was the reveal when Boomy takes the coat off and he's
Boomy, yeah, maybe that was it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying he had a nickname for Boomy.
No, what was the name? Boomy.
Yeah,
Like that's what
Boomy.
I
Yeah,
was
Boomy's
asking.
his name. Sorry. When in the
Yeah.
cartoon when he takes his jacket off to fight him at the end, dude's ripped, like jacked as fuck when he takes it off. This old ass man. Which, granted, whoever was playing Boomy, decent shape, but slightly let down. He wasn't just fucking jacked like he was in the cartoon. It's whatever. Small gripe, but overall, that city Omashu they did a great job with. I actually really love how they ended the episode with him and Boomy going down one of the chutes, having a blast, just being like kids again. Like that's straight from the cartoon. Like I don't know, they got so much stuff really right that the exposition is the problem. They need to up the writing and the dialogue. Sometimes there's definitely improvements that need to be made, but for a first season, I'm still very hopeful going forward. I think they did a pretty solid job as far as an adaptation goes.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks, from the fan's mouth himself.
I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about, address from it, or?
When the badass warrior woman avatar took over Aang's body and just decided, I'm gonna go just kick some straight ass, I was like, well, this is the cool shit. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. That whole sequence was sweet. Like, just, I mean, geez, she's like tornadoing, like twirling, bending, air, earth, and water, and fire, I think, all around her, and her eyes are like glowing, just this is my Super Saiyan moment, and
Yep.
I was like, this is sick.
She's a badass.
Kyoshi, yes. Yeah, I only watched it one time, man. I'm not gonna remember all their names.
Oh, that's cool. That's why I'm here.
So,
That's why I'm here. I can help you. I can help you.
Yeah. So that was sick. Again, the very last episode when Aang just kind of decides I'm gonna make this sacrifice and let this spirit take over my body that just decides, all right, I'm killing all these Fire Nation people. And like that was sick. I mean, I had some Godzilla vibes, whatever. I mean, but it was a fish monster. I mean, it was a fish. And again, our dude, he just finds love but can't have it, so you feel for him and
tragic.
Tragic.
That's something that's
Did you
feel like that was rushed a little bit though?
What do you mean?
The Sokka like love plot with the princess. I feel like that was a little rushed.
Well, it's a little weird that he gets horny for a chick that he met when she was a fox. I mean, it's questionable for sure. But yeah, I mean, it feels a little rushed. Especially from her end, like, it felt really rushed. I mean, and then it's kind of real. It's real kind of cheesy too, and she like says the whole, "Oh, but he wasn't the man of my dreams," and kisses him. I'm like, oh my god.
Yep. So
it's a fucking love story, Taylor Swift. So I mean, it was rushed. I'll agree with you that it was rushed, but
yeah, I wasn't.
It doesn't matter. She chooses to die. She makes the sacrifice. So then Aang's not crazy, and he goes back to being himself, and presumably learns waterbending like we were supposed to get. We'll never know.
So
I do kind of wish that we got some closure to know if, like, because they made it a point about, like, this crew with Zuko and the uncle, like, tells Captain, is it G or is it Gee?
Oh, his lieutenant, G.
His lieutenant.
Yep.
His lieutenant, yeah, he tells him, he's like, hey, this is how that story played out. And he's like, well, wait, we were the 41st. And he's like, yeah, I know, dude. That's the point. And he's just, so then like, oh, you are our prince, because like it made him realize like, oh, like me and all my men's lives were saved from his asshole dad because of this guy.
Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, chat. I actually think that's a change for the live app. I don't remember that actually being a thing in the cartoon. I could be wrong. Please correct me. I think that was a great live action change. If it was a change, it
helps us like Zuko more. It helps us like Zuko more. So who cares? Like let's embrace that change. Yeah. Oh no. We got. Okay.
Oh no.
I mean, I didn't even. I never watched a single episode of the cartoon ever. I really mean that. Chat, or followers, whatever. Okay. It's like, oh, that was something. Let's get into that. But then it's just blown right over. The sister becoming a Sith Lord and just like, and then that's just it. It's like, no, go back to that. No, what is this fifth element? Now we have lightning. Now we have lightning. And are you gonna give me some bullshit?
Fifth element?
Yeah, and are you gonna give me some bullshit that like, well, her fire can burn so hot it creates lightning or some dumb shit? No, fuck out of here. What the hell, man? So we have a fifth element. There's a fifth element, Bruce Willis? You tell me there's a fifth element.
So each of the elemental bendings
getting kind of loud because I'm getting excited.
Each of the elements have advanced forms of bending in multiple ways.
So this is something we'll get into later.
We
kind of already got.
It'll be explained more later, but what I will tell you is that lightning bending is an advanced form of fire bending.
So
and there are other advanced forms for the other ones as well.
I was gonna say, is that the whole idea with like at the very end when they're bending water, but they can turn it into ice?
A little bit. That is an advanced form, but I will let you know it does not stop there. It actually gets potentially very dark.
They cast blizzards.
It can get pretty dark and kind of.
Are we gonna get some Mara shit? Are we gonna get some Mara shit sucking all the water out of people and then their blood? Oh my god.
Well, they could do that, but what? You know what, KP? What if I told you? I'll go ahead and. Should I spoil it? I'm on the track a little bit. What if I told you?
You say in advance.
What if I told you, KP? I could.
It's like
I
they
could
start
control
with fire.
the water in your blood, and just control you like a fucking puppet.
Jesus Christ! So it's like Mara on steroids. My God.
And potentially, yeah. Well, also, they need to see healing with water is an advance, but yeah, eventually you can get into. Like,
oh yeah, they showed that too. That was kind of that was another thing. They like, oh, here's this tease, and just gloss right over it. And I think she said something like, oh yeah, with waterbending we can do advanced thing like healing and blah blah blah. But so they kind of touched, but you know. Oh man,
that's all I'm giving you though, KP. I ain't spoiling any advance for the rest of the elements. You're just gonna have to wait and see.
I was gonna say I'm sure they'll get into this into seasons 2 and 3.
Hopefully, I do hope they get them. I think if there's anything else I really want to point out, other than the fact, well, they kind of gave it to us, but not in the same. There's supposed to be an Agni Kai between Zhao and Zuko, which didn't happen, and I'm a little let down by that, but it's okay. They had him fight at the very end, still at the Northern Water Tribe Temple, so we kind of got it, but it's not the same.
Well, and Zuko
was also
an almost got
important episode, but
and Zuko again almost got screwed by his compassion. Like he wanted to do the killing blow to Zhao so bad, but then he doesn't, and then he's lucky his uncle was there. Because Zhao again, and it was the same. It was literally the same. But but with this time, he didn't even really get to learn the lesson again.
Yeah.
Like he got bailed out because of his uncle. Like he should have learned the lesson again. Like that his dad was trying to teach him. Like, hey, our people, like, we are not. And again, that's why you like Zuko, because he's different than all the Fire Nation. He's really the hope for the future, and I think that's why Aang likes him, because he's like, well, you can be the passionate fire ruler. Like, if we got to get political here, it'd be Aang's goal to like get rid of
Ozai.
Osai.
Ozai.
Yeah. Oh, it would be his political goal to get rid of Ozai, and then he puts Zuko in power, and he's like, okay, like, since you are a compassionate person, stop, you and your nation, stop being assholes. Like, I mean, that's like where I can see the end goal would be. Yeah. God, my desk is so dirty, it's driving me nuts. But,
Speaking of Ozai, though, the actor they casted for Ozai did a fucking great job as Ozai.
oh, you did a great job at making me hate him. I was like, God, this guy's he's such a dick. He's horrible to his children.
Dude, yeah,
I mean,
and
he's just a manipulative asshole to his own kids.
I will say that's a slight change from the cartoon, a little bit. So, in the cartoon, he heavily favors Azula. But at the same time, he's still manipulating them both. But I feel like they kind of a little more heavy-handed it in this one, which I actually kind of like. I don't mind that at all. Because some people were complaining, especially when the scene where he's talking to Azula, kind of complimenting. Zuko found the Avatar or whatever, like kind of actually complimenting Zuko, which I will say would never happen in the cartoon. Not once does Ozai pretty much ever compliment Zuko. So while I get where people are saying, I actually kind of like it because it's him setting up. He's pitting them against each other and trying to get the best out of both of them, and he's just like, well, whichever the strongest one in the end, that's who's taking over after me. So it's a slight change, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, in this show, he like corrects her, and he makes his comment like to her all snide. He's like, doesn't have like, I can't remember what exactly he said, but he basically told his daughter like, yeah, I'm on to you and your like antics here, like, trying to pull one over and right into that commander and stuff. And it's like she like gets mad about it and like storms off, and like he smirks like an asshole because he's like, oh, he only said that because he's manipulating his children. Like he didn't care that she did that. He's just being an asshole about it to push her more. Like, and that was the whole thing. And I get it because again I get it because he got her there with the whole like, just the lightning Kamehameha spark. I was like, oh, this is what he's getting at.
I didn't think we were going to get that this season, actually, because they teased something else earlier in this season when she was practicing. There was a moment where her flames were blue, because that's also like not an advance, but it shows you that they're
it's getting real hot in here.
Yeah, they're a really strong firebender nonetheless if they have blue flames instead of the orange reddish flames or whatever. So they like flickered a little bit of like her having blue flames. I was like, oh shit, we're gonna get blue flames? Hell yeah. And then all of a sudden they were like, and I was like, oh, we got lightning bending already. Let's fucking go. So like I'm hype about that too. They definitely moved up Azula's progression a little bit earlier in the storyline, set her up earlier than she normally would be in the cartoon, which I do think is a dub. I think that's a plus. She is she's a prominent player going forward for sure. Fucking
don't do it so fast.
Oh, you're right.
Don't do it so fast. Like, leave your hand there for a second.
I'll fix it.
Yeah. It's because the cameras. So we use the Razor. We use a certain Razor camera, It's because it actively. Do you have the auto focusing on?
I think so.
Yeah. So if you move a lot with the auto focusing, it will eventually lead to this blur. Unfortunately, great camera though. Otherwise,
It is a very great camera, otherwise,
yeah,
especially for what you.
yeah, and for like the dark settings like we're in. Um, but yeah.
There
So
we go.
there you go. Yeah. That was like really the last thing I had was like basically wanting to ask you like, okay, what the hell was that tease? Like that was sick, and that's all we got. I was like, yeah, and yeah, I can see where this is going. She'll be the next fire antagonist next season, and Zuko. It's like, I mean, I'm the most excited for, especially now because at the end, like you know, um, what's his name? Ido? No, no, no.
Pyro?
Uh, Iroh. God damn. Dragon of the West, dude. Whatever.
Dragon of the West. Hey, I'll know what you're talking about. You say Dragon of the West, man. Everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half of them shit in their britches, man.
I just kind of liked how he's like, what do you want to do? He's just, I don't know. I was like, now I have to know. Like, I really like him. I really like him. So
he's number one character. Can't lie. Real quick before we feel like we're probably about to tune out here. Sidebar: even though they were not given a lot of love for which makes sense for what little we got of them, Azula's two friends, they did a really good job with the casting of those two. I imagine we will get, if we get a season 2, you'll get to see a lot more of them. I'm looking forward to it because from what I've seen so far, they did a really good job with the casting of them. So
yeah, and I would assume they probably went with her when she conquered the Earth.
They're always with her. So yeah, they'll be there.
Okay.
They'll be there.
All right. Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. The casting overall was really good. Other than Grand, fuck Grand. I said it. I meant it. I ain't taking it back. I said what I said.
Well, she's only there for 5 seconds, so we're good.
True. But she's supposed to be such a loving, endearing character, and she's such a fucking piece of fucking plank of wood. Anyway, KP,
God damn.
What's the verdict? Yeah, I said what I said. What's the verdict for you on the live action adaptation for Avatar: The Last Airbender? What's the rating for you?
I think a solid 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. Like I said, I ranted at the beginning. I'm not gonna.
Hey, you and I both ranted. We both had our rants, which is how it should go.
But my point.
Converge.
My point is that if I'm saying, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you gotta watch this, I'll never give it higher than an 8 or even an 8 as that. Like I won't. So I mean, but but it's not horrible. So it's like I'd say it's a 7.5 for me because again, I just I really liked how they did the development of 2 characters in this. It's just I think they missed a lot though. Developing like really the main 3 heroes, but
are you before I get to my rating, are you at least looking forward to a second season? Or are you kind of just like, got what I needed out of it, I'm good?
I think honestly, I'll admit, like, you kind of have helped me look forward to it when you said like how like, oh, they get into advanced forms of the elements, and like that's the whole point of the lightning stuff. I think I'm more looking forward to it now, just because of general curiosity.
Okay.
Thank
God.
I better see Aang like doing this, and it's like 5 fucking twister cyclones coming down from black skies, and I'm talking Final Fantasy magic, man. I'm like, oh, give it to me.
You will see Aang do hopefully a bunch of cool shit, especially in the the final, like the final. But I'm with you. I'm actually a little lower than you. I'm gonna go straight 7. I think it's good. I think it's very solid. I am looking forward to a second season. I think really they need to dial up the writing and the dialogue mainly. The action, the bending that they showed was really really well done. The world that they artistically, the world is very beautiful. I think they did a good job building out what they did. Yeah, I think this was a really, really solid live action outing. I think finally Netflix is kind of understanding a little bit because they're while I didn't watch One Piece, but I will say I was very much high on the live action that they gave us in Netflix, and it seems like even the fans liked it as well. Seems like this Avatar is a little bit more mixed. But me personally, I'm thumbs up. Yeah. I almost said something that would have been a massive spoiler for you, and I'm glad I didn't. They teased something for some Avatar fans that we got teased in the cartoon that never came to fruition. Great sin, and they teased us once again in live action. So if this tease actually pays off in live action, this live action is forever goated in my eyes. This means nothing to you, KP. It's okay. It'll mean something to you in time. But I'm letting you know. They gave us a tease. Let it pay off for once, because that's how it should have ended in the actual card. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, 7 out of 10. Yeah. Also, do you fucking people complaining in the beginning that when Aang is first introduced and he's like free flying without his glider? No, he's not. He's gliding. He's gliding with air boosts and also twirling around a fucking tower with momentum. He's not flying. He's not free flying. Relax. He's not free flying without his glider. Anyway, sorry. I meant to get to that way earlier in the episode.
To be honest, there was. To be honest, I'll admit that you bring that up real quick. That's like actually one other minor gripe I always kind of had, is that it's like you showed him able to do that in the very beginning, and I feel like there's certain points in our story where it's like, well, hey, buddy, why don't you just go do that real quick? And he just doesn't, and I can't specifically point out where.
No, that's fair.
If I go back and rewatch it, I would probably still find those points and be like, yeah, why doesn't he just do that like right now? And it's just like it just never made sense to me.
So the best I can describe
it's really when they get to it's actually too when they get to Amashu. It's like, and he sees the kid who he thinks is an airbender, and I'm pretty sure he just starts chasing him down while he's on the street, and I'm just sitting there like, bro, can't you basically fucking fly? Like, you kind of showed that in the first episode. Like, what the hell is going on here? And that was like my minor gripe. And then it just felt like more, like you said, then the whole the gliding with the staff, that's when it felt like an even bigger slap in the face. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, if you can do that, then I don't know. It's whatever.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get as angry with you because they probably didn't do a good enough job for the people that haven't watched the anime for that to actually make sense. So airbenders they can kind of fly without the glider. Like, they have their air boost, so they can kind of push themselves up and kind of Iron Man themselves a little bit, but they also kind of have to rely on where they are, like how high they jumped off, and they can kind of glide and maybe use their momentum to swing off stuff. But it's not the same, and I'm not going to spoil. Like, there is, like, as far as, like, easiest way I can put it, if you want to fly long distance, faster, more control, like a free flying type of thing, generally airbenders need their air glider, which is the stick. Pop out with the glides on. Free flying is a very, very advanced airbending skill. To be able to just kind of fly like you're Superman. Like, fly up, stop, move however you want at any moment. Aang is more in the beginning relying on physics of I'm jumping off here. If I push air here, it'll push me this direction to where I can grab onto this, swing, give me momentum where I can swing over here, drop down, bang. It's different is all I'll say. It's not quite gliding, but it's the best way I can describe it. It's not quite free flying because they would need the
Gotcha.
glider to be able to free fly normally unless you're an advanced airbender. If that makes sense.
Nice. Okay.
But other than that, I think it's thumbs up here. So hopefully it gets a second season. I would imagine with the traction it's got, it probably will. So yeah, once again, just dial up that writing. Everything else was really. Also, give the main trio some love. So, KP, any final thoughts before we close out here?
No, none anymore. I think I've gotten all of them out.
Oh yeah. So, well, what did you guys think of Avatar: The Last Airbender? Did you guys like it? Did you think it held up to the cartoon, or at least it beat the shit out of that previous live adaptation? Yeah, well, they couldn't even pronounce anything correctly. Please feel free to let us know in the comments down below. KP, where can the people find you?
At the link below, baby. All socials at Politisk.
Hell yeah. Link down below for me as well, but usually on Twitch, Twitter, aka X gonna give it to you. Maybe I'll start posting on Instagram at ya boy Jsib. It's a loaded week for us this week. So I hope you guys are ready for the 3 videos that are dropping. Until next time, I'm your boy Jsib.
And I'm KP.
See ya later.